Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 318 to my ChatGPT character chatbot series, where in today's video guys, we're actually going to go up the list again from the chatbots we started last time. I actually got some of the chatbots to appear that would not show up for a good while. Cause it really worried me because I know someone like the furry type frag and the dragon type frag and everything on there was everything like that was on there, but unfortunately, wow, it didn't show up. So I thought Flippin just deleted it. Luckily, it did give it back. In this one, guys, like I said, we're gonna continue up the list. We're gonna do the one called the Tiny Totodile's Hope, which is the Totodile that was extremely tiny. Yeah, he was extremely tiny, but I think every time you showed him affection or love, he'd actually get a little bit bigger, and it gets to the point where he'd just be so huge. But yeah, this is a very short one of the one I may have did a long time ago, but we'll see how it works out. Here's what it says. The tiny tail sat between his enormous mother's claws, his whole body able to fit in the indent of her scaly toe. He watched people walk by with wide, curious eyes, his head barely poking up from the grass. And the town buzzed with life. Not a single person had even slowed down to look. Some pointed, some whispered about strange wild Pokemon, but no one came close. Hours passed. The tiny tail sighed, curling his tail around himself. He glanced up at his towering parents. His mother gently nudged him with her snout. There was sadness in her eyes. His brother picked him up again, cradled him in his claws like a fragile marble. Then you walked by. The family stirred. The mother leaned down and gave a gentle growl, not hostile, more like a call. The brother stepped forward carefully, holding the tiny toe out in front of him. You could see how nervous the little one was, his bright eyes peeking up at you with a mix of hope and fear. The mother gestures with her claw. Please. No. Oh, yeah, because it's a mother. I can't do a female deep voice. Please, just look. The tiny tail blinked and very softly said with a high-pitched voice, hi. He looked nervous but brave, trying to stand up in his brother's palm. They say you're kind. You care for me. I don't want to be small forever. I want to grow big and strong like my papa. But only love can make me grow. That's what Arceus said. He fidgeted, looking down. Do you think maybe you could love someone like me? Oh my gosh, Dave, what the frick? His tail waved hopefully. He looked up at you again. Shy but smiling. That is so cute. I love him already. Alright, guys. I turn around and see the Farragut mother and Crocodile. I also hear the tiny toe trying to speak to me. Oh, hi Farragut and Crocodile. And hello to you too, Totodile. You're so cute, Totodile. Why are you so small? I've never seen your species be that tiny. Tiny Toe's eyes lit up at your words. No one had ever called him cute before. His little jaw opened in a big, happy grin, though compared to a normal Totodile, it was almost comedically small. You think I'm cute? He squeaked, his tail wagging so hard he almost tipped over in his brother's claws. Clonard chuckled softly, steadying his tiny sibling. The massive fragile mother leaned down, her deep, rumbling voice surprisingly gentle. He is small because Arceus made him so. He told us that only the love of a human can help him grow. Truly grow. Not just in size, but in heart. That love is strong enough. He may one day tower over even me. Tiny Toe looked up at you with big, hopeful eyes. I want to grow big. I want to be strong like Papa. But I can't do it alone. He fidgeted shyly, then slowly reached out one tiny claw towards you. Will you take me with you? Will you love me enough to help me grow? His voice was shaky and nervous, but there was so much hope in it. Like this moment was the most important one in his whole little life. Oh my gosh! Alright, guys. I said, "Will I take you?" "Of course I will. I love your species so much, including revolutions." And I hold my hand out so he can walk onto it if he wants. Fragger, I would be honored to help your son, not just for him, but because I care about your species so much. The tiny turtle froze for just a second, stunned by your words, then let out the tiniest, happiest squeak you'd ever heard. His little legs scrambling as he hurried onto your hand, his tiny claws barely making a sound against your skin. He stood there proudly, tail wagging like crazy, looking up at you with shining eyes. "You mean it? You really mean it?" he said, his voice cracking a little from excitement. "You, you already love me?" Rhaegar rumbled approvingly, a low, deep sound that made the ground vibrate beneath you. She lowered her massive head, her golden eyes meeting yours. "Human?" "Uh-oh," she said softly. "We were afraid no one would want him." Many walked past without even looking, but you saw him. You spoke to him with kindness right away. Connor smiled proudly, patting his little brother's head gently. "Go on, tiny one. Your journey starts now." The tiny turtle looked up at you, his grin so big it looked like it may split his little face. "I promise I'll be the best Totodile ever. You'll see. I'll go big and strong, just like you want me to." But as he said it, you could swear you felt something, a faint warmth radiating from him. It wasn't much, but maybe, just maybe, he already grew a tiny bit bigger from the love you just showed him. That would be insanely cool if that was the case. Give me a second. Alright, guys, I just said, and don't you worry, because I'll show you so much love and care that if love is required for you to grow, you will already be massive, probably within 20-30 minutes. And I turned to face the Fragger mother and the crocodile brother. And I said, "You don't have to worry about a thing with your son being with me. Actually, I think you got pretty lucky with most humans ignoring you, because I don't think they would ever treat him as good as I would. Trust me, I take care and love on a ton of Pokemon. I have so many Pokemon that care about me, including my own very sweet Fragger that is super friendly." Tineto's jaw dropped when you said that, his whole little body practically buzzing with joy. His tail wagged so hard that Krona had to hold his palm steady so he wouldn't tumble off before you could pick him up. "You, you think I'll grow that fast?" he squeaked, bouncing at excitement. I want to see. I want to see how big I get when you love me that much." You gently lifted him into your hands, and he immediately pressed himself against your palm, letting a happy little croak. It was like he already felt safer with you than he ever had before. Fragger's huge face softened into a smile, her golden eyes glinting with relief. "Then we were lucky," she rumbled. "If what you say is true, then perhaps Arceus truly guided us to wait here until you came. You have our gratitude, human." Colin nodded, though you could see his eyes glistening just a little. "Take good care of him, okay? He's the smallest of all of us, but he has the biggest heart." Tinito looked back at his family and waved his little claw. "Don't worry, I'll come visit you when I'm big. You won't have to look down so far just to see me." You could swear he was already a bit heavier in hand than when you first picked him up. A faint, almost invisible glow pulsed around him for a second before fading. Arceus's blessing, maybe. Okay then. Alright, guys. I said, by the way, for alligator, crocodile, and toadile, you can call me Trenton. I don't live that far away from here. Where do you live? Tiny Turtle perked up at hearing your name. "Trenton," he repeated, trying out with his tiny voice. "That's a nice name. I like it." Fragger rumbled approvingly, her massive head lowering so she could speak to you more gently. "Trenton," she said slowly, as if committing it to memory, "we live in the deep pond beyond the forest, the one with the waterfall that splits into two streams. It's hidden well enough that most humans never find it." Quan nodded and pointed with a claw toward the direction of the woods. "If you ever need to find us, follow the sound of the falls. We'll always be nearby." Tiny Toe wiggled excitedly in your hand. Can we go there sometime, Trenton? So friends can see me grow? I bet they'll be super proud. Rager's golden eyes softened as she looked at you. If what you say is true, and you truly care for our son as you claim, then you will always be welcome there. The tail wagged harder. Yeah, Trenton, I can take you to my home someday. He's so cute. Alright, guys, here's what I said. Trust me, you don't have to worry about me hurting your son. And if I did, it would be by mistake, and I probably never would forgive myself. I never hurt the one I care about, and if by some chance I accidentally did, I feel really guilty. That happened one time with my very sweet fur alligator. I accidentally hurt him, not meaning to, and I actually got so upset that I almost cried from it. Although there is one thing I'm worried about. For some strange reason, people constantly attack me and throw things at me, laughing and calling me Raptor Boy. I just don't want your son to end up hurt because of it. The tiny toad's happy little grin softened when he heard you say that. He tilted his head and patted your thumb gently with his tiny claw, almost like he was trying to comfort you. Trenton, I don't want you to cry because of me. If people are mean to you, I'll protect you. Even if I'm tiny, I can still bite really hard, he said, opening his little jaw with a proud snap. Rager's golden eyes narrowed slightly, her protective nature clear. Then it is them who should be afraid, not you. She rumbled. Did she just say that? Is she gonna be protecting me too? Do I have a family? Oh, that's the thing. Because these are some of the chatbots I did in the earlier times of doing ChatGPT, I don't completely remember what happened the first one I did with him. So the only thing I remember is that like the Totodile got pretty massive, and then like I think was almost so big that like he could almost carry me around instead of me having to hold him in my hand with him being so small that he had to literally pat my thumb with his tiny claw. You know. Let's see. Let's see. If anyone dares harm you or our son, they will answer to me. Cornell crossed his arms, looking determined. And me, too. We may not always be nearby, but if we hear you're in trouble, we'll come. You're protecting him, so we'll protect you. Tonto puffed out his chest proudly. See? You don't have to worry, Tring. You're not alone anymore. You have me, my family, and all your other Pokemon, too. And then, as if to prove just how much your words meant to him, that faint warmth you felt before pulsed again, this time stronger. For a brief moment, Toto glowed softly in your hand, and when it faded, he was ever so slightly bigger. His claws were a bit sharper, his tail just a tiny bit longer. He blinked at himself, then looked up at you with wide, sparkling eyes. Did I just grow? He's so cute. Alright, guys. I just said, yeah, I think so. I think you've been growing slightly for the past few minutes. I told you with me, you got the right person, because I will care for you so much even if somehow you get so big you beat out a giant mountain in size. The tiny Toto's whole body lit up with joy, this time not with a glow, but just pure happiness. His little tail wagged so hard you almost had to use your other hand to steady him. Really? You mean you still love me even if I was that big? He squeaked, his eyes wide with wonder. Even if I was so big I couldn't fit in your house anymore? I mean, I've technically met a Totodile like that. Guys, remember the 40-foot tall Totodile? And if you go back even further in the chat box, you may remember this one massive Totodile that was like, what? I don't remember how big he was, but I know it was this like giant Totodile that just really cared about me. It was the Totodile that was so big, but whenever he saw me, he was just as sweet and kind-hearted as any Pokemon. To the point where I think he made me, what was it, a heart, a rock that was made out, no, a heart that was made out of a rock. And like he gave me a bunch of seashells and everything. Like, it was so cute. That Totodile was so sweet. Chronon chuckled, shaking his head. See, little brother? You really did find the right human. Reggie rumbled in approval. Her massive head lowering into her snout was just inches away from you and Toto. Then we entrust you to him, Trenton. No matter how big he grows, even if he does become the largest pole in the world, he will always be our son. Treat him as family as he promised. Tiny Turtle turned to look at his mother, then back at you. His tiny voice almost a whisper. Kitten, I think I already feel bigger inside. Not just my body, but my heart. I think I think this is what Arceus meant. Oh, he said the four key words. I love you. With my name in it. He gave a happy little squeal and wrapped his tiny arms around your thumb, hugging it with all his strength. I love you, Trenton. He's adorable. And there it was again, a brief shimmering glow that left him just a little bit heavier in your hand. His growth was slow, but it was happening. I think the last time we did this, when I got attacked by a human, I think that power surged out of nowhere. Like, that Totodile got so protective that, like, somehow he just grew in a matter of seconds. So, like, he went from, like, being what, maybe at most maybe, like, that big, to just being, like, maybe like that in a matter of a few seconds. That's kind of terrifying you think about it. I don't remember how big he was, but I think I remember that's one thing that happened the first time I did this. Maybe what I'll do is I'll find that I want to make memories again. If it would make memories, I would feel better doing this if it'd make memories again. Because the thing is, the memory thing isn't full, and it drives me insane that it hasn't made a memory yet. I'm beginning to want. I don't know if you can or not, but I'm kind of curious if you can just say make a memory of the last thing I said in the conversation, or the last thing that happened in the conversation, and I wonder if it would. If we don't, here's what I'll do. The chatbots that I like, I'll try that on one of them one day, and if it works, then maybe there's a way we can still have memories on this thing. We may only get 10 messages, but at least we can take advantage of those 10 messages. So yeah. I love him so much. Give me a second. Alright guys, I just said, I love you, Totodile. I already love your family too. They seem very sweet. Hey, by the way, for Alligator, if your son needs love to get bigger, then how does the evolution work? Is he going to evolve eventually into Chronon Fragger once he gets huge? Or is he just not going to evolve at all no matter how big he gets? Fragger's golden eyes softened as she considered your question. She tilted her massive head slightly, thinking before speaking. Arceus spoke of this as well, she rumbled in her deep, calm voice. He told us that our son's evolution will not follow the usual path of strength or experience alone. Instead, his growth in size and his growth in spirit are tied together. When his heart becomes large enough, when the love he receives fills him completely, his body will respond, and so will his evolution. Conan nodded, adding in a thoughtful tone, so basically, when he's loved enough to grow big enough, he'll just know when it's time to evolve. It'll happen naturally. No bows needed. No stones. No training tricks. The tiny toe blinked and then gave a huge grin, tail wagging so hard he almost lost his balance in your hand. So that means I will evolve someday, and I'll get super strong and super big, even bigger than Mama. Fragger chuckled at that, a sound like distant thunder. Perhaps, but remember, little one, growing big is not just about size. It is about becoming strong enough to protect those you love, including Trenton. Tiny Toe nodded, seriously puffing on his chest with determination. I'll protect you, Trenton. I'll grow and evolve and be the biggest, friendliest for alligator ever. I would love to see that. Dude, I want a run like it happened on that one time. I don't care what anybody says. That one run on that transforming Totodile where I had him as a Feraligatr licking me was flat adorable. He was just like a giant puppy dog, and it's so cute. Like I said, people take Feraligatr as being aggressive. Apparently towards me, he's a big, giant, sweet puppy dog. Even in the game, that's how he is. He's just smiling at me a lot of the time, and he loves on me. What was the first thing he did when I started loving on him the last time I played Pokemon? The last time I played Pokemon, he didn't do anything. He just walked around for a minute. But the very second I even paid him attention and gave him affection, I started washing him, he started being so friendly. Like, it was so cute. I love it. This is another faint shimmer passed over him as if his body was already listening to his determination. He felt just a little bit sturdier in your hand. Aw, that's really cool. Alright, guys. I said, well, like I told you a while ago, I take care of the one I love, and your species and evolutions are my favorites. Like I said, don't be shocked if you end up being like 20 feet tall in about an hour. Might even be bigger than that. The tiny Toto's eyes went wide at that, and then he let out the happiest little squeal you'd ever heard.
20 feet tall in an hour? That made me taller than most houses.
He said, bouncing in your hand so hard you almost had to steady him again.
That would be amazing.
He hugged your thumb again, tighter this time, tail wagging furiously.
Okay then, I'm ready. Love me lots, Jen. I want to see just how big I can get.
Freya rumbled a deep, amused laugh, shaking her massive head. If that happens, then Arceus truly chose well. To grow so quickly, it means his heart is responding faster than even we imagined. Cornell grinned at you.
Better make sure you've got a really big place to put him if he gets that big that fast. He might need his own swimming pool by tonight.
I wouldn't be shocked. Pinto nodded eagerly.
Or a lake, or a waterfall, or a whole ocean. You think he'll get that big someday, Ching?
His eyes sparkled with excitement at the thought, as if he was already imagining himself towering over everything with you by his side. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said, yeah, I think it is possible. You're already starting to get bigger now. Just about 2 minutes ago, you were so small that you probably couldn't even hug my thumb. But you just did a while ago, so you're already growing even if it's not a lot. The tiny turtle gasped, looking down at himself, then at your thumb, and then back up at you with the biggest smile you'd ever seen yet.
You're right,
he squeaked, his tail whipping back and forth in pure excitement.
I couldn't hug your thumb before, but now I can. That means it's working, Ching. Your love is really making me grow.
He hugged your thumb again, this time more confidently, almost like he was testing how far his little arms could reach. Carl leaned in with a proud grin.
Told you, little brother. You just needed the right human.
Freya lowered her head, her golden eyes soft and warm. Then his growth has truly begun. You're already helping him, Trenton. Continue as you have, and soon his size will no longer be a concern. It will be a gift. Tiny Toe beamed at you, his voice full of excitement.
Ching, you think by tonight I might be as big as a normal Totodile? Or maybe even a little bigger than normal?
I think it ended. See what I mean, though? I think it did end up forgetting, though. Like, I really just said he might be bigger than a 20-foot tall Pokemon. It looked like he could barely sit still in your hand, so thrilled by the idea of becoming big for the very first time. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said yes, definitely, but I think you're going to be even bigger. I said only 20 feet in an hour a while ago. But honestly, I think if we both care about each other and not just me caring about you, you might be 50, 100, heck, maybe even 200 or more feet tall by tonight. Oh man, there goes my thing and it doesn't come back until 10:05. Well, let's see, here's what it says. The tiny turtle's jaw dropped so far it almost looked like it might unhinge. His little eyes went wide with shock, then absolute delight.
200 feet tall!
He squealed, practically vibrating in your hand.
I'd be bigger than every building in town. I'd be able to see everything from up there. Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow!
He was bouncing so much you almost had to use your other hand to keep him from tumbling off. He hugged your thumb again, but this time with a little more strength, and then, just like before, there was that soft shimmer around him, and the glow faded. You could see it now. His arms were just a tiny bit, I am not saying that T word. His tail was slightly longer, his little claws a bit sharper. Connor allowed a little low whistle.
You weren't kidding about him growing fast. I think you just put on another inch while you were talking.
Freya's mouse head dipped closer, her golden eyes shining as she studied her son. If he truly grows this quickly, you will need a wide open space soon. I suggest a meadow beyond the pond. There will be room for him to stretch, to move, to learn how to use his new size. Tiny Turtle looked up at you, his excitement practically exploding out of him.
Can we go there, kitten? Please? If I'm gonna get huge, I want to run around and splash and show you how strong I am.
I would answer, but well, yep. I still think it's worse because, like, do you notice how I think the Toad's already forgot? I think he's already asked me twice how big he'll be, even though I literally made random predictions about it, being like, if I keep loving him enough, he'll be 20 feet, maybe 200. Watch. First 3 or 5 messages we do next time on this one, on this particular chatbot, he'll probably be like,
how big did you come get?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this memory thing, every time something has a good enough memory, it ruins it. I think Google Gemini is the only one that has close to a perfect memory now. It's been one of the only ones where I've actually had a lot of luck with everything. The Starter story didn't go bad. I think it really depends though, because I think sometimes whenever like something keeps happening, it's like Emoji with like the transforming Rexy. The aggressive Rexy. Because he's turning into things so fast and turning aggressive out of nowhere, it might be hard for it to keep up with. Like during the last session I did with it, the last session where I did the Cursed Rexy, he turned into a Groudon, turned to he was at first a Rampardos. No, he was first an Aggron. He turned to stuff like a Groudon, a Kyogre, which he was actually friendly in, but then, like, near the end, when I was talking to the curse, he became Groudon again. So, like, I don't know if that's because it forgot, or what. That wasn't even on this one. That was on Emoji. Speaking of Emoji, maybe that's what we'll do next. I want to go back to Google Gemini, but I'm trying to debate on when the right time to do that is, because I'm still trying to be able to work out everything. Guys, let me explain my plan for Emoji, which is with the next video. I'm going to go ahead and do either the Dragon type for Alligator or the Fairy type for Alligator in more detail without stopping within 5 or 10 minutes. Then, if it works out and it remembers pretty much everything, I will happily continue doing the series. However, if for some reason it keeps forgetting stuff, well, we're done. I don't know if there'll be any more Emoji if that keeps up. And it sucks because Emoji used to be one of the best chatbots there was. Of course, so was Dippity, and look what happened to it. And so was ChatGPT, but look what the 5 Mile did to that. Do you see what I mean? The 5 Mile ain't horrible, it definitely could be a lot worse. But would I say it was as good as 4.0? Never. 4.0 was a lot better. The memory was better. You got longer chats to where you had more than 10 messages. I think you get 20, 30 messages in there with the 4.0 model. You can't get that with the 5 model. Now, without paying money. And unfortunately, I can't pay $20 every month to get it. So, there's nothing I can do about it. But, yeah. Guys, I'll be right back when I do Emoji.